A very famous Jewish philosopher said something about 50 years ago that there is a Nazi mentality in Israeli society. He said then that Israel would probably not establish gas chambers or death camps, but the mentality in this society could legitimize such a thing. Unfortunately, this is exactly what we've been witnessing since the State Yemen issue erupted.
These are the words of Ofer Kasif, a member of the Israeli Knesset from the Hadash party, after witnessing dozens of far-right Israelis storm the 2 military bases in southern and central Israel in protest against the detention of 10 Israeli soldiers suspected of sodomizing a Palestinian detainee. On July 29, an investigation was launched into 10 soldiers after a Palestinian detainee was hospitalized following a brutal gang rape by Israeli prison guards at the Sidi Tamam camp. The suspects, reservists from the Force 100 unit responsible for guarding detainees, were caught on a security camera while sexually abusing the detainee. When they were arrested at the camp and later brought to a military court for a bail hearing, a far-right mob, accompanied by some Israeli parliament members and ministers, stormed the camp demanding the release of the suspects. Meanwhile, other lawmakers slammed their detention and announced plans to hold a hearing to discuss the unacceptable arrests of Israel's heroic warriors. As for Smotrich, what mattered was prosecuting the person who leaked the CCTV footage rather than the rape itself. An even more striking but equally grotesque reaction to the sexual abuse came from Hanok Milwitsky, a member of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's ruling Likud party. According to the UN, rape and sexual violence may constitute war crimes and are serious breaches of the 4th Geneva Convention, which says civilians in areas of armed conflict and occupied territories are protected by the 159 articles of the 4th Geneva Convention. Israel also stands accused of genocide at the International Court of Justice, a charge it denies. And this culture of denial, along with open support from the public and from far-right mobs and ministers for those accused of rape and other atrocities, casts doubt on Israel's willingness to serve justice when it comes to crimes against Palestinians, and reflects a much bigger problem, a culture of total impunity.
I truly believe that these events can only be understood through the prism of Israel's impunity, which they've enjoyed for decades. Because whatever war crimes Israel commits, their allies, including the US and UK, obfuscate, they deflect, and provide diplomatic cover.
In a bid to legitimize the rape, defense lawyers for 4 Israeli reservists claimed their clients were acting in self-defense. The attorneys, Natiram and Adi Kider, are affiliated with the far-right legal organization, Honenu, which is notorious for defending Jewish terrorism suspects and illegal settlers accused of violence against Palestinians. As crowds rallied outside the military court hearings in support of the arrested soldiers, arguing that mistreating Palestinian detainees is an act of self-defense, prosecutors released 5 of the 10 initially detained reservists. Since being released just 2 days after detention, one of the soldiers was even invited to speak on pro-Netanyahu Channel 14's flagship primetime program, where he had this to say.
בשביל זה אני יושב פה, להגן עלינו, להגן על כוח 100. אני חושב שצה"ל שלנו הוא צבא בריא ביותר.
Although initially wanting to remain anonymous, the soldier Meir Ben Shetrit later revealed his identity on social media and called for public support. His call was quickly picked up by another media.
קודם כל, זה מגיע להם, זו נקמה ראויה מאוד, רק חבל שלא עושים את זה בצורה ממוסדת, כחלק מתקנון התעללות בעצירים.
In another video, the same soldier claimed that military police expressed support and gratitude during his interrogation.
שמשטרה צבאית התייחסו אלינו ממש יפה. כן? באמת, כולם. אתה רואה את התמיכה עם יד על הלב, כאילו אומרים לך
Amid growing public support for Israel's atrocities, testimonies of Palestinians who have endured torture under Israeli custody continue to emerge, with the abuse often linked to Ben Gvir, who oversees the Israeli prison service.
قام هؤلاء مجموعة الكيتر واليماز بالدخول علينا ملثمين بضربنا لمدة 50 دقيقة. وهم يضربون بنا وهم يضحكون وهناك كان التصوير المباشر كما علمت بسبب أنني أعلم وأعرف اللغة العبرية. سمعتهم يقولون أننا مباشر مع ابن كفير، يشير مع ابن كفير، يعني مباشر مع ابن كفير.
جمعونا قدام ابن غفير. ابن غفير زارنا في النقب 3 مرات عشان وفد مدني، وابن غفير قاعد معهم في فوق وبتفرجوا كيفنا قلنا إيش الحين هذه الرسالة نوصلها لهم عن وضعنا. صار أصلا من دون ما نتفق أصلا يعني للهف الأولى كلياتنا الشباب صاروا يرفعوا أواعيهم كلهم جرم حبوب. تعرف هذه ايش كلفتنا؟ ضرب والجمع وينسحب على الكلاب وبن غفير الواقف.
There's a big apparatus where the judicial system, the executive system and the legislative system are all working to build a system that is discriminatory against the Palestinian people, and this is where Human Rights Watch concluded that Israeli authorities are conducting the crimes against humanity of apartheid and persecution.
Recent video evidence of sexual abuse at the now infamous Sidi Tamam adds to the growing body of proof that the shadowy detention facility operates as a torture camp. However, testimonies from Palestinian detainees released from other Israeli prisons also reveal the same disturbing pattern of sexual abuse, including the rampant practice of rape by female soldiers.
What is very frightening, on top of the crime itself, is that Israeli society, generally speaking, is deeply rotten. It's sick. The vicious occupation goes on, and like all occupations around the world and in history, it dehumanizes the occupied, but it also leads to the demoralization of the occupier. So this is a consequence, and I'm afraid it is not the last one. According to a document that was published by B'Tselem just a couple of days ago, there are torture camps all over Israel.
A country that stands accused of genocide at the ICJ, among countless human rights violations that likely constitute war crimes, and continues to deny any wrongdoing. A country that refuses to punish atrocities committed by its own citizens due to growing public, political, and even international support. A country that condones rape as a form of revenge that can be used against people of other faiths, and openly advocates for its legality and justifies its practice. How long will Israel's culture of impunity persist?
رسالة الأسرة بقول لك الحقونا يعني انقذونا ما تمش والله يعني بموتوا جوا.